I'm Keir.
I'm Haley.
And I'm Jay from Gallifrey Public Radio,
a podcast member of the GonnaGeek Network.
Just like the one you're listening to right now.
The opinions expressed are those of each individual.
Check out all the other podcasts at GonnaGeekNetwork.com.
And get ready, because geekiness begins in 3,
2,
1.
You have been granted clearance by Director Phil Coulson. Stand by for S.H.I.E.L.D. debriefing. All information to be discussed here is classified and may only be discussed among agents granted clearance by the S.H.I.E.L.D. Director.
Now it's time for your scheduled debriefing. I'm Agent Stargate Pioneer.
I'm Agent Haley.
I'm Agent Lauren.
And I'm this guy Keir who just walked in.
Welcome to the studio, Keir. And welcome to Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D., a Marvel Comic Universe podcast. This is podcast number 75 on Daredevil, Season 1, Episode 1, Into the Ring. This podcast is recorded on Wednesday, May 20th, 2015. Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. is a fan-based podcast on the ABC television show Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Marvel's Agent Carter, Marvel's Daredevil on Netflix, and the general Marvel comic universe.
Because of stunning women of questionable character.
If you'd like to talk to us about stunning women of questionable character, you can contact us at our website, legendsofshield.com. You can get a hold of us at our voicemail, 844-THE-BUS-1. That's 844-843-2871. You can find us on our Facebook, Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. Podcast, our Twitter, at Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D., our Tumblr, legendsofshield.tumblr.com, our YouTube, Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D., and our forums, forums.GonnaGeek.com, or search GonnaGeek, one word, on the Tapatalk app.
This time on Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D., we'll be talking one more time about our giveaway, the Marvel Crate. We'll be talking about Daredevil's Into the Ring, the weekly Marvel news, and your feedback. Say, we do have a giveaway. This is the last week for it. Haley, are you jealous still?
Always. The listeners get all the good stuff.
Seriously, right?
So, yes, the Marvel Crate, which is the Avengers Marvel Crate, I have posted pictures on the website, so you can go see that at GonnaGeek.com. The most notable figure is a Hulkbuster Pop Funko. I'm looking at mine right now. The one we are giving away is safely tucked away in the original crate, not opened yet. There is also a Ultron little Dorbs. There is t-shirts, there's comics and everything, and it's all yours. You can win this. All you have to do is go to our iTunes page, give us a 5-star review, but make it funny. The funny thing is what is going to differentiate your entry from anybody else. And because it's iTunes, you're going to have to tell us. You're going to have to tweet us. You're going to have to Facebook us, email me. I don't care. Get a hold of us and tell us you did it, because unfortunately there's no way to tell who actually gave the iTunes review. So go ahead, do that. We will be announcing our winner next week on our podcast on Daredevil number 2. So get your entries in. We did get another entry this week, though. Did you guys see it? Did you see it?
I did not.
All right. It's from Blue Box Pilot. He says, if you take 3 eggs, cheese, ham, and bacon crumbles, and maybe some green onions, you can make a great omelet. But if you can, I had a metaphor in there, but that really went off the rails, and now I'm too hungry to remember what I was going to say. This is my favorite Marvel podcast by far. It extends to much more than just Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and it is always highly entertaining. Just don't ever expect Stargate Pioneer to get a name right on the first try. Seriously.
Or just any words at all.
Seriously. Seriously. You guys, I'm seriously. Seriously. I was watching South Park right before we started recording, by the way.
So we got a couple of entries. We got a competition going on. If you want your free Marvel Crate, I will ship anywhere in the world. Go ahead, give us your 5-star review on iTunes, and we will announce the winner next week. And then we will move on to other giveaways as well. It's going to be the summer of giveaways with Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. Woohoo!
Woohoo! And remember, I'm going to Comic Palooza this weekend, and in addition to doing my best to try to snag interviews and record panels and generally have fun and run around and do awesome things, I will also be looking for sweet, awesome Marvel-themed swag to get for giveaways, in addition to also getting some for myself, because it's a con, and that's what you do at cons.
Absolutely. Right, Haley?
Yes.
You've been to some cons lately, haven't you?
Yeah, couple.
And you're going to some more, right?
Yeah, couple.
What's your next one you're going to?
Lauren and I are both going about a week and a half from now. We'll be in Dallas for Fan Expo.
Yes. Yes, we will be.
That will be fun. And Mr. Keir, we welcomed you to the podcast already, but I want to welcome you again. You are from the GonnaGeek Network. You are from Gallifrey Public Radio, and I believe Gotham Nightline now, right?
That is correct. A couple of episodes forthcoming for Gotham Nightline. Both myself and the freelancing podcaster Julie will be appearing with the Great Lobster, live from the blimp.
The one, the only lobster. Woot.
So I have to ask you, what did you think of that last 30 seconds of the season?
For Gotham?
Yes.
You know, since this is something that we have yet to release, I want to withhold my information.
Yeah, okay, fine.
I'm dying to I will just say this much.
Couch it in the form of a metaphor.
I could do this.
Okay.
In the great meatball sub that was season 1,
Uh-huh.
if you let things sit on the bread too long, it can take out the whole sandwich.
Get a little mold.
Nah, just, that soggy factor.
Okay.
If certain ingredients hang around too long, that's all I'll say.
Okay. And if you want to hear more about Keir's thoughts, go pick out the Gotham Nightline stream. It's on GonnaGeek.com. Just go to the podcast page and pick out Gotham Nightline, and you will see that. Also, they have this neat URL called GothamNightline.com. It'll take you straight to their podcast page. It's great.
Yep.
Are you telling me that Gotham Nightline can be found at GothamNightline.com?
It's amazing.
How novel.
Some gentleman caller, as April Joe called it, enabled that to happen. I wonder who that was. Anyway, okay. So this week, we all watched, again, Daredevil episode 1, Into the Ring, right?
Yes.
We did.
Yeah.
All right.
Actually, no, I didn't watch it. I just live tweeted it from memory.
I was wondering if you were going to do that or not. So, Keir, you've watched it twice, right?
Far more than twice.
Oh, well, I see.
Yeah.
So,
No.
have you watched it like once every week since it came out?
Not quite with that frequency, but let's just say we're somewhere between that and any time I fire up Netflix. Yeah, it's pretty frequent. This series, and I'm going to be really careful that I don't talk ahead of the first episode we're discussing tonight. I'm sort of in a big... Can you be in show crush? Can you have a show crush? Is that such a thing?
I'm sure.
Yes.
Yes, you can.
Okay.
You can have a fan crush. You can have a show crush. I mean, I'm crushing on Agent 13, Emily Van Camp, so you can definitely crush on Daredevil.
You don't say.
There you go. Also, Felicity from Arrow. Yum.
Shocked. I am shocked, sir.
Well, who isn't crushing on Felicity? Come on.
I know, right?
She's adorable.
Adorbs. Absolutely. So I was going to ask you if it was better the second time around, but does it hold up since you've watched it so many times?
Yeah, I would say it would, because this is similar to the way I do a lot of cinematic viewing, or I see a lot of live theater and things like that, or get involved in live theater, so I get a chance to see productions more than once. And I noticed that you have the Christmas effect on first viewing, where you're just really excited about it and you're just taking it all in, and it's just the shiny new thing. And then on subsequent viewings, you really get to dissect it. Certain iterations, maybe you're going through and you're really paying attention to the acting style or the score or some sort of element of the technical aspect. But absolutely, I think this definitely holds up on multiple watches.
I wanted to watch it again. I didn't have a chance to until last night, and it was amazing the amount of additional stuff I picked up, because I've seen the whole thing, right? And you can go back to the beginning and you're like, oh my gosh, they tied this in from the beginning. I was picking out different actors that we actually saw on screen, and instead of them being one-offs, you're like, oh, so this is what happened, or this is where this person was introduced. It was great. Haley, what did you think the second time around?
Well, this time I just watched this episode. I didn't watch this episode and like 8 more right after it.
Right.
So I don't think I remembered distinctly what happened in this episode before I rewatched it today.
Yeah, it all kind of jumbled together a little bit.
Right. I just remembered like this one big long story.
Uh-huh. Yeah, and it is. It was an incredible... We talked about it before. It's like a 13-hour movie. It's awesome. Now, Lauren, did you watch it just the 2 times, or did you watch it another time?
I have watched it just the 2 times. I binge watched it over the course of about a weekend when it came out, and then I watched it again last night to do the live tweeting. And again, it's kind of like what y'all said in terms of forgetting what exactly happened in the first episode. I was talking with my best friend this weekend, and she watched Battlestar Galactica kind of the same way, just binge watching. So when my husband and I brought up, well, this happened in season 3, this happened in season 4, and she's like, when was I watched it so fast that it was like one big long episode. So I don't remember that. And that was kind of my experience with Daredevil. Like, I remember kind of moments, and if you tell me, oh, this happened in episode 7, I'll be like, oh, right, yeah. But watching this, I'm thinking, oh, yeah, this was the setup, and this was where this was introduced, and this was where this happened, and okay, yeah, now I remember, yeah. And then I started remembering a little bit more of what happened later, and I just got so excited all over again.
Right. I think this is a really great opportunity that we have to go through the season episode by episode this summer and really delve into it, because I think that is something that you lose when you watch it all in one big clump, is you lose, okay, this happened at episode, like you were saying, episode 3, episode 8, whatever. You know, we were asking different people if they wanted to be guests on the podcast throughout this thing, and they were able to refer to things from episodes. And as I was sending these emails out, as sleep deprived as I was, I'm like, okay, well, you can have this number episode, but some people do retain it. I just don't.
Yeah, I remember thinking very clearly that I think it was like episode 7 was where I felt it was probably my favorite episode of the series, because I got like chills watching it. And I remember saying, episode 7, I got chills. But if I hadn't said that specifically, I don't know if I would have remembered, because I was just trying to devour it all in a big chunk.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's kind of, I mean, I love watching stuff that way. I love binge watching things. I love plowing through books on my first try. I love when I buy a new album of music and stuff like that. I love just listening to it just all the way through. But there is something to be said for going back and just savoring it and knowing what happens, being able to pick out these little threads. That's what I really appreciated about going back during this rewatch, is just going back and picking out these little bits of what I know is going to happen later, looking at how these characters interact, looking at little things they said or little set details, things like that.
It was amazing to me how well crafted this entire episode was. The dialogue was like it was handcrafted over like a decade, and it was so well intertwined between the scenes and when they happen, the dialogue and each individual conversation. There wasn't a wasted word, it seemed like, in the entire episode.
Yeah, I did notice this time the dialogue a lot, and it's funnier, I think, than I realized it was the first time through.
It's really funny. That's something that I really loved about this show, just consistently all the way through. They were really, really good about finding that right balance between the really grim, serious stuff involving the fighting, the human trafficking, the drugs, everything, and the comedy. Because there's really good comedy. I remember back when they announced it, I was thinking, well, what are they going to pull from each of these runs of the comic? Are they going to have a lot of the Frank Miller influence, which is the really grim stuff? Are they going to have a lot of the Mark Waid influence, which is the really lighthearted stuff? And I think they found a really good balance.
Well, look at who wrote damn near the entire season, or served as your principal executive writer for this in Drew Goddard. I mean, he cut his teeth with Joss Whedon. So you've got somebody who wrote, half a dozen Buffy episodes, half a dozen or so Angel episodes. He wrote Cabin in the Woods.
Cabin in the Woods.
So, I mean, this is his stock in trade, in taking the heavy and the light and knowing when to flip between the two to keep the tone even for the viewer and keep it, as you said, SB, just it's a matter of nothing felt wasted. There's no frivolous dialogue in here just for filler while we're waiting for one of our principal cast members to walk into the coffee scene. It just doesn't exist.
Right. And it was directed, by the way, by Phil Abram, who is kind of storied in his career too.
Oh my God, he's done everything.
Yeah, I'm looking at his credits. He's done some really good episodes of Sons of Anarchy. I'm listening to the stuff that I've seen. Sons of Anarchy, The Walking Dead, Elementary. He's done Orange is the New Black. Actually, I really liked these episodes. And he has some episodes of *Halt and Catch Fire* coming up. He's done a whole bunch of Mad Men, which I haven't seen, but he's done like 15 episodes of Mad Men, actually.
But what I love about Abraham in particular is that as long as his CV is in the director's chair,
right,
he is a cinematographer by trade. So his vision, which is so important for the look and feel and tone of this particular series, was just absolutely a perfect match.
I think he was the director of photography, judging by the IMDb page, for the entire series of The Sopranos.
47 episodes.
So that's probably
I think that's
close.
about right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the man has some cred there, Madman. And he's listed, if you go to his IMDb page or his Wikipedia page, he is listed as a cinematographer first.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. By sheer weight, yeah.
Yeah, but he's got a ton of director credits as well. So, and then a ton of camera and electrical department credits. So the guy's been in the industry back to 1985. Tales from the Dark Side. Even back to 1982. So he's been in the industry for a while, knows what he's doing. So this is a very experienced crew, as you would expect, because this series in its entirety was great. But this episode is specifically, I was just amazed. I mean, obviously it looked to me, taking it through the end, it was shot like a pilot, but there was that montage at the end, which led you into just about everything else that was going to happen in the next 12 episodes.
Oh, I love that montage. I liked it when I first saw it, and then now, after watching the whole series, I love that montage. It was just, the music was great, getting to see what all these other people are doing, knowing how it all ties in. Oh, I love it.
You know, it kind of made me think of the way Caprica ended, where they did that montage of all the things to come.
Mm-hmm. It was like 5 minutes long.
And then it felt like you were going to have to wait to see what's going to happen. And then it's like, oh, wait, I don't have to wait. I can go watch all that right now.
That's right.
So, yeah, this was a montage of questions or picking threads out for you to grab onto. So, okay, why are all the people that are doing all the drug weighing and things, why are they all blinded? And they don't look like they're naturally blinded. They look like they're chemically burned. Why are these individuals here? What's going on? Who the hell is that guy? You know, and you back and forth and back and forth. And it was just, as the score builds.
With the score and with the taking care of the guys who were involved in trying to get rid of, I keep wanting to call her Jessica because of True Blood, with trying to get rid of Karen Page. That whole bit reminded me of the first Godfather movie with the montage of people getting killed during the baptism scene. Spoiler alert for Godfather, I guess. But.
Oh, forget that. Now I gotta find something else to watch this weekend.
I haven't seen it. Now
I haven't either.
I can entirely believe that, Haley.
Yeah, right.
There's not one guy in a super suit?
Right.
I'm not watching this thing.
All right. So from the very beginning, they go through the origin story right away. And from the comic perspective, Lauren, give me a give and take on how they portrayed it.
Well, there's not really much to say. Everybody knows Matt Murdock pushed an old guy out of the way of this hazardous waste material truck, and the hazardous waste spilled, hit him in the eyes. He's blind. And I think we've mentioned before, this is the same, I think in our previous Daredevil episode when we talked about the movie, this was the same accident that caused the Ninja Turtles. Mm-hmm. And this was the same accident that was retroactively kind of applied to have caused Jessica Jones's superpowers.
Yeah, so I rewound it as I watched it the second time. I'm like, looking in the background, is there something that they could show the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles? And to be honest, we didn't see the accident, so maybe...
Usually what you see is that chemical leaked down into the sewers as well, where there were these little turtles hanging out in the sewer, and boom, that's how you get Ninja Turtles.
Yeah, because people flush turtles down the toilet.
All the time.
Yep. Yes.
Yep.
And something else that was pointed out, I didn't notice this last night, but I'm going to have to rewatch it again.
Oh, darn.
Apparently, that truck is a Rand Corporation truck.
Ooh.
Rand Oil and Chemicals.
And Rand is, of course, Danny Rand, Iron Fist.
Nice.
So you're starting to see this kind of interconnection, and you see it a whole lot later in the series, just sort of indirectly. I'm not sure if it was in this episode or a later episode of the symbol on the drug packets that ties into the Iron Fist comics.
Oh, that's not until episode 4 or so?
Yeah, I don't think it's until later. So I'll save that until then, but,
okay.
Something to look forward to.
But we do get something in here in this particular episode. There's an interesting little tie-in, and that's the fact that you've got some of the fight posters in Fogwell's gym.
Yes, the Creel versus Murdoch poster. And we all know it is confirmed that that's Crusher Creel, even though we don't see him. And Crusher Creel, listeners of this podcast who watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which is hopefully all of you, will remember Crusher Creel as the Absorbing Man from the beginning of season 2.
That's right. It was the first episode, I believe.
Yes, that was the first time that we saw the Diviner.
Yep. Yeah, all sorts of Easter eggs in here, including when the very next scene after the origin story, basically, You see Matt Murdock in the confession, and we meet the priest, even though it didn't seem like they knew each other very well.
I kind of get the feeling that he hadn't been back to church in a while.
Probably.
Which is kind of typical of a lot of Catholics, really. So I really like the whole tying in of Matt Murdock's Catholicism, which was a thing that was brought in by Frank Miller.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think effectively so. I mean, it reminds me quite a bit of some of the things that used to be done in the Spawn series, and just playing around, not necessarily sort of beating you over the head with theology or any particular dogma, but just the whole idea of the manifestations of guilt and the idea of right and wrong, and the fact that you can be on either side of the line, and depending on how you're viewing it, you could consider yourself as being on one or the other side of the line.
And there's definitely enough in-jokes that if you are Catholic or were raised Catholic, you will giggle.
Mm-hmm.
And in the confession dialogue, in addition to everything else, which it's layered upon layered upon layer, that's why I just love watching this so well, it's because Matt Murdock, mentioned that his grandmother said that the Murdock boys have got the devil in them. So there you go. Right away, you get the blindness and you get the devil.
Yeah. Well, that, and then he wraps up that little coda in saying that when his father was at the point where he would wear his opponents down by just taking blows to the face until breaking their hands, he would basically work them into a corner and let the devil out.
Right.
So that dovetails beautifully with, you're talking about sort of the construct of this episode.
Yes.
I look at where they chose to do their time jumps.
Yes.
Were very, very systematic and very careful. Unlike, and I'm really, really sorry about this, Arrow fans and all of you from Starling Tribune, unlike time jumps that are jarring, painful, and a waste of time.
I don't think there's any one of us hosts, and there's a bevy of us now on the Starling Tribune, that would disagree with you, especially this season. I think it was very well done in season 2, but season 3, it wasn't as beneficial as season 2. Absolutely not.
So in cases like this, where we get to jump back and forth between our youngest Matt that we've seen so far, played by Skylar Gardner, I have a feeling that within season 2, we're going to meet teen Matt, which should be an interesting casting decision, however they choose to go about it, because I think they did an exceptional job with Skylar as far as being able to see him go through the progression. You know, we see scenes of him recently blinded versus dealing with it months later, and from the mechanics of it, I think it was a great casting job.
Do you really think they're going to need to do flashbacks in the next season? I think they basically told that whole story.
Need, or would they benefit from? Because, Lauren, you could probably attest to this. There are some aspects of his development that could benefit in further stories.
Yeah, there's some stuff that might benefit, but again, being as season 1 was the origin story, I think we would need flashbacks more here than we would going forward.
Right.
Right. This isn't like Arrow.
Yeah. That said, the kid actor that they got to play Tiny Matt, at first I wasn't very impressed by him after the, I can't see! Because
it burns. It burns us, precious.
Yeah. It's understandable, but I was sitting there when I was watching it the first time, and again here, just thinking, I know he's supposed to be distraught. I know he's supposed to be panicking. And I know when people are distraught and panicking, sometimes it's really funny, which I know I'm a horrible person. That didn't sound all that great. Luckily, over the course of the season, I was proven wrong, and that kid actually is a good actor.
Wait till you see the takes that were left on the cutting room floor.
I would love to see that.
I can't see!
And remember, they had a month to make each episode. That's the best they got.
They had that kid lying in the street for days.
Do you guys, and I posted about, do you guys remember, these were the first images we saw of Daredevil, them setting up this accident and the kid walking around. And I remember seeing those pictures and be like, oh my God, this is actually happening. This is actually happening. And this means we're going to get Jessica Jones. Because, of course, this is naturally where I go constantly.
Yep. In December, as far as we know, there hasn't been an official announcement, but IMDb says December. So we'll see.
I am so hoping December. That'd be amazing. Just, give me it this year.
Another aspect of the series, and this episode in particular, and Scopehound in the chat said it was his favorite part of the episode, is when we're at the docks and we're intervening into, like Daredevil and me are buds or whatever, but we're intervening with the human trafficking exchange that's going on in shipping containers, whatever, and the fight. And we finally see Daredevil for the first time, actual fight. And you see the slugfest that happens and the amazing choreography and everything. And it's, if you don't know who Daredevil is, you're kind of amazed that this blind guy's able to do all this. But if you know, it shocks you just because it's so graphic, it's so realistic.
Yeah, knowing who the showrunner was, Stephen DeKnight, who, I mentioned before has worked on Spartacus, I was expecting something good from the fight choreography. I was still blown away by this, and I was continuously blown away as the season goes on. But speaking for this specific show, it starts good with this fight scene here and the shipping containers and everything. And then later on in Karen's apartment and just outside of it, it just, I love it. The one-on-one, just the beat down and everything. It's great. It's visceral. That's what I loved about it. It's not just a well-choreographed fight scene. It's a well-choreographed, visceral fight scene. It's not one that you're like, oh, wow, it looks like they're dancing. You're looking at it and going, that looks like it hurt.
Yeah. And it's flawed.
Yes.
Exactly.
And that's one of the things that, and again, without trying to get ahead of the episode, this is something where you realize that we love, as we've determined in the last 8 years or so, in what has sort of taken over as far as our visual representation of the MCU, we love broken heroes in all fashions, whether they're psychologically broken, slightly sociopathic, or whatever it is. We love our broken heroes. Here we've got someone who gets his patoot handed to him as much as he dishes out, but it's his doggedness, what he gains from his father, that trait of take it, keep taking it, take it some more, and then dish it out. It's a fascinating thing to watch, and I think the way that it's been edited and their choice of when to go into slow motion and things of that sort and let moments linger is just, from a cinematographic standpoint, just gorgeous. If you can call fight scenes gorgeous.
Absolutely. It's, and then how it's intertwined at the end when Matt is both waiting for his dad in the kitchen and fighting in Karen's apartment. It was so well blended with, come on, Maddie, get to work.
Yeah.
That was just amazing.
That was great.
It was good. I might have to watch this again.
I know, right? It's watching it. I remember at the time not expecting much because, it's going to be a setup episode. No, it was strong from the get-go and it got stronger. Again, getting ahead of myself, but I can't remember a single episode that I thought was weak. And with this, particularly considering that it is a setup episode, that you have to introduce the characters and introduce the world and introduce the situation, you get a sense of who the characters are. You get a sense that Foggy is the best friend who's a little bit of a jerk, and he's a good guy, and he's funny. You get a sense that Karen she doesn't have great luck.
Oh, but she's a fighter too.
She's a fighter too, that she's smarter than she's trying to let on, that there's something else there. Mm-hmm. You get a sense of who Matt is, of course. You get a sense of who this Wesley guy is, this mysterious kind of malevolent second in command. You get a sense of who the Evil League of Evil is there.
Yeah, that scene was amazing too.
Yeah,
they're having a board meeting.
Kingpin there as a voice, just as a malevolent background presence, because they're saving him.
The employer.
For when it's effective. We don't mention his name.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yes.
The employer who must not be named.
I loved that.
Yeah.
Just everything about how they chose to handle Kingpin. Keeping him out of the first episode and just having him as this kind of vague, menacing background presence. Only having him in there as a voice over the phone. Having the other members of the Evil League of Evil there. I'm sorry, I have to call them that. They're hanging around menacingly discussing evil things. I kind of have to. And by the way, I love Madame Gao.
Yeah.
I really love her.
I mean, all of them. They all are characters.
I especially love, and I know this is a terrible reason to love him. The guy who plays Anatoly is one of my favorite characters from Dragon Age 2. He's Fenris, the grumpy elf. And
oh my god, he is.
Yes, right? So I kind of have to love him if only for that.
I love the fact that half of his dialogue is just him going shush, 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 shush.
Yes, he's basically just shushing his brother.
Just essentially, in a very Slavic way, he's poo-pooing everything that's going on in the scene.
He spends a lot of time shushing his brother. That's a lot of it, too.
Trying to keep his brother alive, really.
Yeah, because his brother is not very
understanding of their situation, really.
No.
Right.
He's a hothead.
And then, of course, the guy who played, I can't remember his character's name, but he's the warden from Shawshank Redemption. Yep. And he's playing another jerk character doing shady financial dealings here.
The money guy, I don't remember
his name.
The money
guy, yeah. I keep thinking of him as the warden from Shawshank Redemption, because that's who he will forever be.
I didn't even recognize him, but now that you've said that, that's all I'm going to think of.
Right?
Well, no, because he's a great character. Leland Owlsley. All right, so Mr. Owlsley, the bookkeeper.
Yes.
Leland is such a bookkeeper's name. Come on.
He's always got an angle, right? And you, after seeing the whole thing, you're realizing he's not flippantly saying the things that he's saying in this meeting. He is deliberately trying to say things to put people off their game because he's got a plan of his own.
Yeah. And he was just so bitchy the whole time. Yeah. And everyone else is just kind of begrudgingly there. And this guy is just out and out kvetching the whole time.
It's cold. I'm tired.
I don't like you. Nobody speaks English.
Well, what about him? He speaks Chinese, right?
You look Asian.
He's Japanese. I know! This guy, they set him up moment one as a gigantic jerk that you are not supposed to like. And they continue through the series. Gigantic jerk you are not supposed to like.
Right.
I loved this introduction of the bad guys.
Right. And this is not interconnected. It is interconnected with the Marvel universe because they talk about quote unquote the incident, and the whole reason behind United Allied Construction to exist is because of what happened in the Battle of New York.
Basically they're the Halliburton of the Marvel universe. They're profiting off of all this. Yeah. And okay, so speaking of the incident, I maintain this. This is an underappreciated joke I made last night. We're going to refer to Age of Ultron as the incident to Electric Boogaloo. Am I right?
Sure.
I'm proud of that, damn it, okay?
Well done.
Marvel should pay you. We've discussed this before.
Pay me, Marvel. Pay me now. I work for dessert.
But since this is our origin episode, this is our groundwork episode, I looked through this one and there were lines that were, as Shakespeare would say, painted an inch thick. The ones that really stood out. And Owlsley actually was given one of the best ones for that interconnectedness. He explicitly said in your Evil League of Evil scene there, heroes and their consequences are why we have our current opportunities, which is a great way of describing what Marvel is doing right now heading into their third act.
Yeah.
Exactly, and I love that.
Really, distilled down to a nugget, that's exactly what it is. The consequences of heroic acts. You could freaking engrave it on a plaque, because that's where we're headed.
I love that. And again, I've been saying it ever since I was little when I watched Power Rangers, which, by the way, Cajun Sean in the chat brought up that Nikolai Nikolaev, who played Vladimir, played the White Rhino Ranger in Power Rangers Jungle Fury. But speaking of Power Rangers, when I was little...
There's an IMDb credit for you.
Yeah. When I was little, I always used to watch Power Rangers and watch them destroy the city and wonder, who would live here? The property taxes must be so high because the city's getting destroyed every week.
The insurance, yeah.
Exactly. And then I read comics and I'm thinking, who would live here? The city gets destroyed every week. And now we're seeing these are the people who profit when the city gets destroyed every week. I love it.
Well, yeah, there's a little bit of that, but if you take a look at 9/11 New York, right, the city came together after that, and it was an attack specifically on the city. Now, I don't know if the same sort of resolve would happen from an alien attack with superheroes involved, especially with Tony Stark, but you got a sense of what happened when New York came together after 9/11, and I think you might have the same sort of sense now in the incident and how New York goes. So it could go both ways. You would want to flee, but you might want to stick around and be resilient because that's what we do as Americans, right? We try to rebuild New Orleans. We rebuild New York. We rebuild a new school in Sandy Hook after the incident there. So it seems to be American culture.
They've made so many jokes about tornado ripping through a town, and it's the however manyth tornado in however many months. They'll interview somebody on the news. What are you going to do? Oh, I guess I'll rebuild.
As long as you can still get insurance, why not, right? So Foggy, we haven't talked much about Foggy, but
I love Foggy.
His initial scene, which is another of Scopound's favorite parts of the episode, when he's talking to Matt in the bed, when he's waking up after his fight and, it's making noises like he's got a girl in bed, but is really just in tremendous pain. The whole thing is great, talking about the realtor, talking about how she's ugly and saying he has to go bribe a cop and not really NSA, but yeah, really. You get a sense from his character right there that I enjoyed. And after coming off of Mr. Jean Favreau in the movie, he did a great job.
He did a wonderful job. I really didn't expect to like him that much. And again, I don't know if it's the actor, because I do like the actor. I've seen him in a bunch of other stuff before.
Mighty Ducks.
Yeah, again, Mighty Ducks. What else has he been in? He's been in She's All That. He was in, I want to say, Butterfly Effect. He was in Idle Hands. He and Seth Green were the 2 zombie guys in Idle Hands. He's always solid. But here, he's a really standout character. He's got this great sense of humor. He's got this great sense of humanity to him.
Right.
And this great sense of compassion to him and just pragmatism even.
Cajun Sean's favorite part of the episode was a line that Foggy said. She just curtsied. It was adorable.
See, you have him trying to be really considerate. At the same time, he's a jerk. You know, he's making all these jokes that could be seen as insensitive if you didn't know that these two were friends who'd known each other for a really long time. But he's making the effort to kind of interpret what's going on for somebody who is blind. He's trying to help out. Again, I keep wanting to say Jessica. Karen. You know, he does. He's trying to make an effort to be nice, to be a good person. And I like that.
Right. Lots of stuff to still talk about. You know, in this entire series, we didn't have any nudity, but we did in this episode get some
Tasteful
Karen's
side boob.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got tasteful side boob.
Yeah, right.
Which I will say, if you want Karen Page / Deborah Ann Wall nudity, True Blood.
Yeah, they're essentially the same character until Karen will start drinking blood in season 2. Because essentially, she's following Jessica's path.
Not
She
really.
was brought into this unwillingly. She just wanted to live her simple life as a waitress / secretary / bookkeeper, accountant, and gets dragged into this world.
And we got to see Charlie Cox's abs without an oozing wound in them.
For a moment.
Like the only time this series.
Yeah, a Tasteful Side. That's got to be a cover band name. I just don't know.
I'm
who
pretty
yet.
sure it is.
Yeah, right. And there was also a Surface tablet reference, so got some CW sort of product placement there.
Yeah, and apparently the best Wi-Fi in the world, because when you're sitting there and you're blackmailing this man by holding his daughter under thug surveillance, you can speak live time through a cell phone and have a no-lag conversation with your daughter.
Hey, he's evil. That's how you know he has the good Wi-Fi and everything.
Is that what we need to get good podcast Wi-Fi?
Yeah, exactly. I need to actually just go ahead with the whole supervillain thing, and then we can get the good Wi-Fi.
Just do it.
See, I would, but it's so much effort.
So much work.
Give him a wave, Mr. Rance.
Right.
Oh, I just got it. That Mr. Rance guy is the same guy that busted in on her apartment later, isn't it?
Yes.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I just got that. Okay. I was like, why does that name sound familiar? Got it.
And he hung himself in prison. Yeah.
Sure he did.
Sure he did.
Just like the cop shot himself.
It was totally voluntary.
As Mr. Wesley said, we're looking into it. I love that. That was his go-to response. We're looking into it.
So when I was watching this with my husband when we were mainlining it the first time, we were talking about the characters, and Wesley was my husband's favorite character because he reminds him of... Do any of y'all watch Metalocalypse?
No.
I watched some of the first season.
Okay. He reminds my husband of Oftenson, the manager / everything on that show.
All right.
And I'm watching it, and I'm like, you're not wrong. So anybody who watches Metalocalypse, get back to me on whether or not you think that comparison is fair. And anybody who doesn't watch Metalocalypse, watch Metalocalypse.
So we haven't talked about how Daredevil can actually see, which wasn't really pointed out in this episode, unless you count the intro credits, which really didn't work the way his vision worked anyway.
No. Well, no. You got... I think it was a conscious decision not to get into that discussion right off the jump.
Yeah, you kind of get it hinted at during the fight scenes with the slowing down, focusing in on something that he can hear, and then him acting on it.
Or the interrogation moments.
Or the interrogation moments when he's hearing the heartbeats, things like that. And then plus, everyone, I assume that everyone already knows about Daredevil because of the previous movie and because of pop culture. So we already kind of know, oh, this guy has super hearing and can fight like a ninja because of training. So I guess they didn't really feel the need to go into that right away.
So who would win in a fight, Daredevil or Black Widow?
Black Widow.
Yeah.
She has the training, the formal training and everything. He has a little bit of training, and then, he's a scrapper.
Okay.
So basically, she would just, the fight would be long and really bloody and unpleasant, but I think in the end that Black Widow would win.
Do you think Daredevil would take down Grant Ward?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes, if only for wishful thinking.
Do you think May could take Daredevil?
Yes.
Wow.
Don't argue with me on this.
She's just saying that because she loves May.
Yes. Don't argue with me on this.
All hail the queen.
What about Mockingbird?
Oh, that would be tough. They're both really, really tough.
I know. Especially that last fight that we saw Mockingbird in the SOS.
Yeah.
An equal standing height and arm reach as well.
Yeah.
She probably has reach on him, actually.
She probably does. Thank you.
I don't know. Okay, here's a question. Once they both have the Eskrima sticks.
Yeah.
They're both really tough. Neither of them is fully a ninja. Oh, that would be an interesting fight.
It would.
You never go full ninja.
I don't know.
Reverse ninja rule does apply.
Yeah, I don't know who would win in that fight, in all honesty.
What do you think, Haley? You deciding with Bobby on that one?
I don't know. It'd be a good fight. Let's go watch it.
It would be a really good fight.
Because she could slug it out. That would be awesome. Haley, what other notes you got for this episode?
I don't have a ton of notes. Daredevil beats the crap out of some guys. Let's see.
Multiple times, yeah.
Couple times that happens. I have a ton of quotes. I'm looking to see if I have anything that's not quotes.
Keir, what else you got for this episode before Haley gets to quotes?
Again, remember how I was saying earlier that on subsequent watches, I really start to look at some of the technical aspects. And we did mention the score being, really useful in certain moments as we're sort of building up in that final montage. But you'll notice that in the mix in general, the score and the incidental scores are extremely low. They're just barely there. They're a little more than percussion and strings because they're only there to help sort of keep the movement active without being part of the scene. It's very much a complement, but stays well back. When you combine that with the fact that obviously from the visual aspect, we're going with a lot of the dark tones, heavy shadowing, and no bright colors. I mean, even when you get crowd scenes in the street in bright daylight, no one's wearing pinks, oranges, and go back and watch all the extras. They're all done in muted tones.
Well, the big screen TV outside of Matt's apartment, that's bright color.
Is about the only brightest thing, but the light that it casts into the apartment is actually, they keep saying that about how, it kept everyone else away, it got me this great deal. It puts this beautiful tone over the entire apartment.
This kind of bluish jewel tone look to it.
Yeah, and it becomes kind of this shimmering kind of watercolor effect over the entire thing, which makes for great cinematography. But what I was really noticing, even outside of some of the slow-mo sequences in the fight moments and such, a lot of the sound foley is done with heavy echo and reverb, because we are slowly over the course of this episode, and then we'll see it further through the series, we are getting immersed into his perception of the world. We are being slowly limited on the visual exposure and being handed everything else that could be done through the course of a television series, which generally has to leave us with sound at this point. But the choices are very explicit and I think exceptionally well done from a sensory standpoint.
Yeah, well said.
Do you know who did the score? I keep forgetting to check.
I had it at one point because I keep trying to keep an eye out, ear out for individuals like that.
I actually had it on my YouTube channel for a while as a frequent history, but it's been a while. And Cajun Chon in the chat mentioned that he loved the opening credit scenes for the series. It has a very chilling feel to it. I don't know about chilling, but it's definitely...
Yeah, it has the dramatic build to it. And let me just say this, because SB, when you asked me for that bump months ago...
Right.
And I put that thing together, I'm going to go out on record and say I had no idea where they were going to be headed with the scoring for this series.
Right.
And I think what I put together was bang on. I mean, with the strings and percussion and the freaking police siren in the background. I had it.
Yeah.
That is all.
Yeah, we haven't played that one yet, but we might get to it tonight. We'll see. Lauren, what else do you have for the episode?
So when I first watched it, I started watching it during the daytime. And I was thinking, man, I could barely see anything. I wonder if it's because I'm watching it in the day and I have this nice big flat screen TV. So yesterday I started watching it at night and I kept all the lights in my apartment off. And I still had this problem where I could barely make out some of the action in some scenes. And so if I had a recommendation for season 2, it would be for them to maybe balance that a little bit better. Still keep it dark, but I don't know, maybe make it so that I could actually make out some of the actors' faces sometimes. It did make fight scenes a little hard to follow on occasion.
It seems to be the modus operandi for shows. Flash had a bunch of dark night scenes, Arrow, dark night scenes. It gets a little bit difficult to watch the action, and I think they do it intentionally.
Yeah, I know that it's very much intentional, but at the same time, as a viewer, it can be very frustrating, especially when the fight choreography is as gorgeous and awesome as it is on a show like this.
Yeah, it's very well played. You know, I cover Arrow, as we talked about before, on Starling Tribune with a bevy of co-hosts, and we've said it on Starling Tribune, we've said it here as well. It's an unfair comparison because of the sheer amount of time it takes to put together an Arrow episode versus the amount of time it took to put together Daredevil. It's just in another league, and they have the time to do it, but it is definitely in another league. And I think the fight choreography in this would be great to see in Arrow. I just don't think they could do it.
They probably can't afford
Right.
Philip Silvera anyway. But when Marvel wants to open the purse strings, that's who they go to. Everything that he's worked with from Thor through Daredevil, they're going to be using him as a principal fight coordinator for Deadpool. He is the go-to. And it shows. It's the meticulous attention to the mechanics of the fight choreography, the consequences of the choreography. You know, you cannot come back from that many blows to the head without losing your sense of balance for the next 90 to 120 seconds. The little things that, when we're describing Matt's fighting style as being scrappy, that's consistent. He doesn't suddenly break forward and have abilities, to get through. He's kind of cornered at the moment against a scaffolding. He's suddenly going to know judo, but he doesn't. So there's some consistency to that you don't often see when you get into the big damn heroes kind of fight moments.
This is the benefit of having a live chat. There are people that will do research for you. Guest 174 said John Paciano did the score for Daredevil.
Paisano, yeah.
Paisano.
Yep, but he's also, I started doing some digging as well. I was a little bit familiar with some of the works that we had just seen Maze Runner in the last couple of months when that was in the theaters, and he's going to be working again on the sequel they're doing to that, Scorch Trials, which I think a trailer just dropped today for that one. But yeah, he's starting to come into his own right now. He's been busier in the last 3 years than he has in the last 13 years, so he's starting to catch his groove.
Yeah, Bear McCreary can't do everything, neither can John Williams, so gotta spread the love out a little bit.
Yeah, eventually we're gonna need more people to start taking over, and if we can get all the awesome, badass composers that we can, that's more awesomeness and just...
Joseph Trapanese. Joseph Trapanese.
I'm
the
all
Tron
in favor
series,
of that.
Joseph Trapanese.
Yes.
Awesome. I have one more note in that in very first fight, when the cattle prod was dropped, it looked very much like nunchucks or whatever Daredevil used, and it was just a good initial call back to that weapon of his, and all he did was throw it, but I thought that was interesting. Do you guys have anything else before Haley gets to her awesome quotes?
No.
That's a no. Haley, you're on.
All right. We kind of talked around this one, but I'm not seeking penance for what I've done, Father. I'm asking forgiveness for what I'm about to do.
Mm-hmm. That's not how it works.
Yeah, I love that quote so much, though.
It's so good.
That's his transition in a nutshell.
Blind people are God's mistake.
Oh, yeah.
Ouch.
That's horrible. I know, in this day and age.
Wow. Well, at least it was brought up in a negative context.
No, Foggy was
That
saying it
covers
to
for-
get him to not go after the hot realtor.
You're right. That's what I meant. Yeah.
Okay. I believe the innocent includes anyone not yet convicted of a crime.
Another great Foggy one.
Law school did him justice, boy.
This isn't a full quote, but how long have you guys been lawyers? What time is it? 7 hours?
Well,
Okay, so again, I pointed this out on Twitter yesterday. Matt acts like he's going to check a watch.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah.
He does.
Okay, I don't know if he's doing that for comedic effect, which very unprofessional, but still kind of funny. Or if is he wearing a watch?
He's probably
forget?
wearing one of
I
those
don't-
watches that he can flip the face up on.
Could be. Or he could be pointing out to Foggy through his actions that Foggy needs to check his watch.
If there's a stunning woman of questionable character in the room, Matt Murdock is going to find her and Foggy Nelson is going to suffer.
Friends for life.
I didn't say this in Twitter, but I kind of wanted to. His real superpower, his dick is a dowsing rod.
Ooh.
That's all of them that we haven't already said.
All right. Ooh, this will be good. Into episode 2 next week. It's going to be fun. And Keir, you plan to return at some point in time in the future. Is that correct?
Yes, I'll just set the controls and I'll just show up sometime in the not too distant future. We'll see where I land. I never go where I plan, but I always go where I need to be.
Again with the Doctor Who. Go figure.
Bam.
It'll be episode 5, World on Fire. So in 4 weeks, June 17th, we will see.
Oh, I guess I got to put that in my calendar then, huh?
Yeah, exactly. Keir will be back.
Sorry, folks.
All right.
Mom, you'll be happy.
Hi, Keir's mom.
All right. You guys ready to move on to some news?
Let's do it.
Yay!
Gee, I wonder who put that baby together.
Dude, with the rain in the background. Am I psychic? Am I psychic?
You're psycho.
Witch.
He's a witch!
He floats. He's a witch. All right. So we had a little movie come out a couple weeks ago, and I saw a story recently about what the box office did this past weekend. That was kind of funny. But overall, where are we at Avengers Age of Ultron, Haley?
Right now, we're at $378.5 million in the domestic box office. Worldwide, we're topped out over $1 billion, $1.15 billion right now.
Right.
Those aren't even real numbers anymore.
It's just a pile of money.
Pile of money. And there's a story later on from Deadline that said Avengers Age of Ultron has top Disney Marvel China opening day ever at $33.9 million for one day.
So I'm going to put this prediction out there right now. I think worldwide it's going to beat Avengers 1, but the domestic isn't going to top Avengers 1.
Yeah, I can't disagree. Everybody's just going to wait for the DVD and Blu-ray to come out at this point. Especially since the story I was mentioning before basically said that Pitch Perfect 2 beat everything in the box office this weekend, including Mad Max. That's kind of...
But Mad Max has crazy good reviews.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God. I loved it so much.
I think Mad Max is going to steam through the summer. I still need to see it.
Oh, yes, you do. Mad Max is fantastic.
I might actually have to see it in the theater. Yeah. Apparently, the general consensus is if you're not seeing it on the largest screen possible, you're doing yourself an injustice.
That's what I've heard.
Yeah. I saw it in 3D and it was fantastic. I had so much fun. The soundtrack is amazing and the characters are great. And seriously, I forgot before I saw it that like, oh yeah, post-apocalyptic stuff is my weakness. And I walked out of it like, okay, I want to shave my head and find like my leather jacket and just like look like I'm wearing garbage and go running around with the thrash metal band of the apocalypse.
I should shave my head. Wouldn't that be a good idea?
See, I keep thinking, yeah, I should, but then I remember I have this weird dent in the back of my head.
Haley, think how much time you're going to save.
I know for sure I have a scar on my head from a bike wreck, and I'm pretty sure I've got a dent where a garage door got dropped on the top of my head too. But my hair grows fast. It'll be fine.
Oh, that's a story for another time. And you didn't become a supervillain from that?
Yet.
Okay, and also in the ratings / domestic box office stuff, we had the Live Plus 7-day ratings come out for The Dirty Half Dozen, which was an amazing episode of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. that we cover normally when it's on. And it got a 59% Live Plus 7-day bump with a total of 7.2 million, which is up from the week before, actually up from all the way back to halfway through the season with Love in the Time of Hydra. And it had a 59% bump. It was number 3 for the week in terms of Live Plus 7 bumps percent. The Blacklist was number 1 at 75%. The Following is number 2 at 67%. And for the week, they closed out at 22nd. So just can't break that 20 barrier on the ratings for the week. So I anticipate in the next couple of weeks, we will hear about Scars and SOS Parts 1 and 2. So there we go. So Civil War is filming now, right?
Yes.
Right.
And apparently there have been some set photos leaked out, right?
Yes.
What do we got?
A ton.
What do we got?
The ones we're showing in particular this week are of mostly Cap and Falcon.
I saw some today from Scarlet Witch.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you scroll to the bottom of the page we linked to, it links you to like 12 other stories of set photos. So
I haven't had a chance to take a look at that yet, but I threw that in the chat and it will be in the show notes for you as well.
right, my favorite set photo, which was, I guess, is not in this collection, but it's of Chris Evans, and I guess he just got out of a car or something, and he's missing like the front panel of his armor. So it's got like a little midriff mesh area so you can see his abs through his uniform.
Yes, I love that picture.
And I was like, okay, I take back everything I ever said about boob windows if we can get more of these.
I know, right? Just equal opportunity. That's all I ask.
Right.
Is that an ab portal then?
I
Yes.
don't know. Yes, that'll work.
But let's start calling them that. Ab portals.
Ab portals and boob windows. I'm game
Yeah.
for the trade-off. Yeah, that'd be cool. I've been working out in the gym too. You can have my ab portal too.
That's okay.
You sure? It's available.
Pretty sure. Okay.
All right. And also, Mr. Lincoln is also rumored. And that was a bad accent, but we're talking about Matthew McConaughey and his Lincoln commercials, but there's a rumor that he might be in some Marvel stuff or Sony stuff.
Right. This is just a rumor, but apparently Marvel and Sony are eyeing Matthew McConaughey for Norman Osborn in the upcoming Spider-Man movies.
I think he could pull it off.
Yeah, he's got the right look for it.
What do you think, Lauren?
I don't know. I mean, I guess he could, but
I haven't seen Interstellar yet. It is sitting in my entertainment center, the Blu-ray, waiting for me to watch it this weekend. I can't wait.
yeah, I kind of wanted to see it last weekend I was at my best friend's baby shower. Her husband is also a rocket scientist. Well, he's an aerospace engineer who works on other stuff that's not rockets. And then my husband, the rocket scientist, we were like, yeah, we should like watch it and listen to them complain. But then we all ended up just going to sleep early because we're old and lazy.
Yeah, well, that would definitely, you could record that. Put a mic in the middle of the room. That would be great. We could release it somewhere on the GonnaGeek Network. Also, Pratt confirms his future. So tell me about this. I saw the headline, but I didn't get to read the article.
Okay, so we all love Chris Pratt, right?
Definitely.
Yes.
I'm wearing my Chris versus Chris t-shirt, by the way, from the
Ooh,
Superhero
awesome.
Bowl. Yep.
Okay, so Chris Pratt has revealed that he signed on to be part of the MCU past Guardians of the Galaxy 2, which should have everybody very happy because Chris Pratt is a treasure. He didn't reveal which of the projects he'll be in, but it's probably going to be Infinity War. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Right.
But yeah, I am all in favor of more Chris Pratt in everything.
That'll be fun. I'm just wondering how many movies that he did sign up for.
Probably like 10.
I hope so.
They've been doing those type of crazy contracts. Even if, they never get that far, they've just got the actors tied in if they need to use them.
Right. Well, I mean, you blew an appearance with Mark Ruffalo in Iron Man 3, right? At the end.
Yeah.
Well, and I think that's part of the reason they did such big numbers in all these contracts is so they could use them in a cameo without having to worry about getting them signed in for their movies they need them in later.
Right.
Yeah, speaking of which, /Film suggested Captain Marvel and Inhumans as more possibilities. Which, yeah, I would be game for any of those. Just, come on. Give me all the Chris Pratt. You know what? I need to rewatch Parks and Rec for Andy Dwyer.
You do. You really, really do.
I love Chris Pratt, and he's just so adorable as Andy.
I feel like you need to watch back-to-back the scene where he runs like a quarter of a lap and collapses.
And then, takes off all his clothes and collapses.
And then the scene where he's getting sprayed down in the prison.
I know. I love
those two.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there a YouTube on that?
I think there probably is.
Okay.
Hold on. Let me look.
Yeah. So when's Jurassic World come out? I don't remember the date for that.
June, I think.
All right. That'll be fun to watch.
Here it is. Andy tired from jogging.
I'll share this now. I think I've shared it before, but one of my favorite quotes about Chris Pratt comes from Nick Offerman. Christopher Pratt is one of the most beautiful creations of Mother Nature's that I have countenanced in my lifetime. Whether the bear is lean from the winter or fattened by sweet summer berries and springtime salmon, it makes me know never mind in the love I bear for him. He's still a magnificent beast.
Pratt, you're a beast, sir. You're a beast.
A magnificent one.
There you go.
Yeah. I especially love with this video that I'm linking in the chat afterwards. It says, I'm never going to be a cop. I'm going to have to be a robber. And then, of course, he is an outlaw in Guardians of the Galaxy.
That's true. Yeah.
Yep.
And if you're not in chatWING, just look up Running is, let's see, it's called Running is Impossible on Parks and Recreation. It's my favorite.
We have one last news story. It's a comic story, which is great because, we are a comic-based podcast, also Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. based podcast. You know what? We're a Marvel Universe podcast. But we have a little...
So I mean, you got to rename the podcast?
It's already been renamed. Have you not paid attention? This is Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D., a Marvel Comic Universe podcast. That is the full
We've got
title.
branding.
That's the longest damn URL I've ever heard.
Well,
that sucks.
the URL is still legendsofshield.com. I didn't change
Your
that
face
one.
sucks.
Yo, in your face.
That's what she said.
Oh, a phrasing. We gotta bring phrasing back.
Okay, Marvel comic news.
Okay, go ahead.
Come on.
Yes.
Trying to do a podcast here.
See,
All right.
Focus like a laser beam.
okay, who's got this? Marvel will jump ahead 8 months, right?
Right.
Yes.
That's the news I've heard.
Wow.
Yeah, so currently, Secret Wars is going on in the comics, which is the big shake-up event that's going on. I'm not really paying
kind
attention
of a
because
big
every
deal.
time they do a shake-up event, nothing changes, and I usually just get mad. So I'm going to wait until everything settles down and then just keep reading whatever I want to read. And that generally works out pretty well for me.
I went to the comic book store because I was in that area of town a few weeks ago, and I saw all the DC comics being replaced. They were actually replacing them with their
Right.
convergence
DC
event.
really does. When they say we're going to change everything, they do. They just reset everything except Batman.
It was, but it was the summer convergence event or whatever they're calling it.
Yeah, right now Convergence is going on
And
in
I'm
DC.
like, I don't want any of these. And I was like, I just ended up getting disgusted and leaving because I wanted some Green Arrow stuff because, well, podcasts and stuff. But anyway.
Yeah, so right now they're talking about how as soon as Secret Wars is done, then there's going to be a time jump. It's not going to follow what happens immediately after. They're going to just jump ahead 8 months. And so we'll see what happens. We'll see which titles stick around. We'll see what happens. Then they mentioned that Brian Michael Bendis is going to be wrapping up Uncanny X-Men 600. And it's going to be, I guess, Bendis' last X-Men comic after about 3 years on the title.
Huh.
So, yeah, we'll see. Right now, I'm just kind of sticking to picking up trades of things that I like because I get less angry that way. I've been burned too many times by their big crossover events, so I'm just waiting.
Don't make Lauren angry.
Help me understand. I mean, because when you say Secret Wars to me, I mean, as far as you know, where my comic heyday was, I'm going back to like the 80s.
Yeah, I know. No, this
is a really great name for a story, so they're using it again.
Pretty much,
Okay.
yeah. No, we're going to take the Ultimate Universe and the 616 Universe and smash them together to get rid of the characters that people don't like and keep the characters that people like. Except that some people will inevitably be angry because some of the characters and plots and stuff they're getting rid of are inevitably some people's favorite characters and plots. So, yeah, that's happening.
Okay.
You know, Lauren, we need to get you and Neil together on a podcast and just let you go and talk about DC and Marvel and everything else and Saga and just let you go for hours and hours. It'll be a great
Oh, Saga. Man, I could talk about Saga forever.
I read some more Saga.
Yay. Which one are you up to now?
Oh, not very far, like 5 or 6.
Read more. Read more.
I love Lamb Saga, Chicken Saga with some side. Oh, I thought we were ordering Indian. I'm sorry. None.
All right.
Oh, God, I could do with some Pecora right now.
Legend of Pecora.
Oh,
Well, if it's
that would be
Legend,
amazing.
Yeah. Okay. Does anybody have any
Could you
other Marvel-related comic news? Nope.
What about
America
there was
Chavez, yes! Okay, that's it.
Was there the quick mention of the fact that Marvel doesn't want to have anything to do with their merchandising for X-Men or Fantastic Four?
Oh, yeah. I didn't put that in there, but they're taking the ones they don't have the movie rights to and taking it off a lot of their merchandise. So,
So
That's
get
happening.
your X-Men Fantastic Four merchandise while it's still available before they stop making it all.
I feel like that's the reason that they're doing this big event, so they can change everything and be like, oh, hey, nobody's really a mutant.
Well, they already kind of did that to Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver, so...
Yep. Everyone's an Inhuman now.
Why not? I want to be an Inhuman.
Well, that's kind of what they did in the Ultimate Universe. They're like, hey, mutants are really the result of this S.H.I.E.L.D. experimentation and all this blah, blah, blah. And yeah, that was about the point at which I stopped reading because I started getting really, really angry at a lot of the stuff that was going on with Ultimates.
Alrighty. So I also have a couple of news stories in the show notes about Star Wars, the Rogue One, and Daniel Craig in Star Wars as well. So go ahead, check those out in the show notes. We're not a Star Wars podcast, but we're a Marvel podcast, which is owned by Disney. Star Wars is owned by Disney, so we like to put that stuff in. And besides, if I don't, Lauren will come up here and beat me up. So I just have to put that in. Hey, all four of us are members of a network. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Evil League of Evil. Oh, wait, the other network.
Yes, the other network. What network is that, Keir?
Grinder. No, that's a different one, too.
Lord.
Probably GonnaGeek you're referring to right
the
now.
GonnaGeek Network. Absolutely. We also have a variety of different podcasts on there. I think the last time I counted was like 15 or 17 or something like that. A lot of great podcasts, a lot of great content. Most of us are on other podcasts as well. And one podcast I'd like to bring about in particular is Tyrion's Landing. And this week, Rachel and Jeannie talk about Unbowed, Unbent, Unbroken. What would happen if the White Walkers got into the Chamber of Faces? Bronn sings. Cersei crosses the Tyrells. We also discuss our thoughts about the controversy surrounding this episode. If you haven't seen Sunday's Game of Thrones episode, you should probably see that first and then listen to these lovely ladies talk about what happened. So there you go. You guys ready to move on to some feedback?
Yarp.
Woohoo! We are talking about a tweet here at League of Lashuk tweeted us and said, Simmons is confirmed not dead. She's not dead. And signed on for season 3 by producers. Breathe easy. Hashtag
Science babies.
woohoo. See, I told you I'd be able to work it in this episode. You didn't think I could, but I did. Lauren said science babies. Okay.
I know. I saw that a while back, maybe by a while back, I mean probably earlier this week, and I just can't remember time that Elizabeth Henstridge had mentioned that so far she hasn't gotten a call, and they always give a call when they're killing off a character. So far she's kind of relaxed. So I'm holding on to that.
We need to see you in the office after production today. Yeah. Okay. We also got an email. We actually got a ton of emails, and I want to thank Andy for it. We referenced it before when we talked about Daredevil. Andy sent us an email after he finished watching each and every episode, and we told everybody we'd get to it when we started watching the episodes. Well, this is episode 1, and he gives us an email. Hi, how's your marathon going? I started out slowly, so here are only what I thought about the pilot episode. Daredevil thoughts. Did you guys have a chance to read this?
Yes.
Yes.
What do you think about it?
I'm not disagreeing any of his points. I think he echoed a lot of the stuff that we discussed, too. Interesting to see that he kept doing the same, the True Blood tie.
Yes, exactly. I agree. I did keep expecting her. It's so weird to see her cry actual tears instead of blood.
Well, go back and watch the origins of her character on that series, and they are very, very similar in their early stages when they are playing. Weaker is not the right word.
Vulnerable.
Frail? Vulnerable. Sure. And then you see their strength kind of emerge over time. Granted, it helps if you're undead, but not necessarily in Karen's case.
I'm going to read a couple sentences from his email here. Cinematography especially memorable were the lighting at Murdoch's loft and in the rainy hand-to-hand. Nice touch how they use sound, what helps out Murdoch during action pieces, or hearing Karen's heartbeat when he questions her. We didn't talk about that when we were in the episode segment, but yes, when he was reading people, seeing if they were telling the truth or not, particularly Karen, she both told the truth, said she was innocent, and then she lied, saying she didn't have a copy of the pension fund file. So that was definitely, if you didn't know Daredevil's full power range, that gave away that it was just more than being able to see when he couldn't see.
Witchcraft.
It's magic. It's all magic. All right. Did you guys have any other feedback from this week I didn't get a chance to capture? Talked about the iTunes review. Thank you very much for that. Even if it isn't for the giveaway, please leave us a 5-star review on iTunes. Funny is always great, especially since we're running the contest right now for the Marvel Crate, but it really helps other people find us in this bevy of podcasts that is out there now. You have a lot of podcasts, and we like to stand out because we think we are that good. So if you could give us a good review, that would help other people find us, and that would be great. Also, we do have a voicemail line. I'm not changing the title. It is 844-THE-BUS-1 or 844-843-2871. The bus lives. Simmons lives. And go ahead, give us a call. Tell us what you think about Daredevil. Tell us what you think about the season finale for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Tell us what you think about Avengers, Age of Ultron. Tell us how much you loved Keir on the podcast. Or, you know what? Except for Keir, because he's all magic and stuff, we are science-based individuals, engineer-based individuals. We would love to hear your questions on the science behind superheroes. So go ahead, give us a call. All right. Are you guys ready to get out of here and get to bed?
Yes.
Yes.
I've got the Flash finale I gotta go watch.
Oh, me too.
All right. Here we go.
There's cats on the couch and I want to use them as a pillow.
All right. We made it to the end of another one. Woohoo! Join us next week as we discuss Daredevil, Season 1, Episode 2, The Cut Man. We will have another special guest in studio with us next week. Tune in to find out. We are live 9 p.m. Wednesdays. That's 9 p.m. Eastern on Wednesdays. Go to GonnaGeek.com. There's a banner on the page that will take you right to the live streams and the live chat on chatWING. We love to see everybody in the chat. Thank you, everybody in the chat. It's always fun having research at our fingertips. It's always fun talking to you as well. It's fun. We like it. We hope you do too. Hey, we've got a website, legendsofshield.com. You can find all of our podcasts there. I just talked about our voicemail line. I will say it again, 844-THE-BUS-1, 844-843-2871. That is a toll-free international call. We have a Facebook, Twitter. We do have a Tumblr. Lauren is active on Tumblr. So go ahead, check out our legendsofshield.tumblr.com. I also have a YouTube channel where I put all the episodes if you can't find them anywhere else to stream. We have forums on the GonnaGeek Network, forums.gonnageek.com, or use your smartphone or smart tablet device and use the Tapatalk app. We can be found at a lot of different places, iTunes, Stitcher, Spreaker, SoundCloud, Mixcloud. If you use a podcasting app and you found us and you want us on a podcasting app that you use, please let me know. I will put that on there. That is Stargate Pioneer at GonnaGeek.com. Keir, thank you so much for coming on board to open up our Daredevil arc this summer. We really appreciate your time, sir.
Absolutely my pleasure. Couldn't think of a better series to bust in the Marvel door with.
We've held you out so long. We just thought, okay. Well,
it was time.
It was
really, I was growing my ward beard, waiting
He was
for
like,
the call.
Put me in, coach.
I also want to thank all our listeners. If you're listening on Mixlr, if you're listening on our live stream on YouTube, I really appreciate you. And again, want to thank you to everybody that showed up. We had a relatively full chat room tonight, and it is fun watching the back-to-back. We don't get to every comment during the podcast, but I guarantee you, we do read it as it's streaming.
And thank you, Andy, for sending in your email with your first thoughts, and for doing that for every episode. It was great, so that we'll be able to parse out your thoughts before you knew what was coming next. That was awesome. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for everybody who gets a hold of us on Twitter, whether it's during the live tweets of the episodes, which, yes, I will be doing that again next week, same time, same place, 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m.
Eastern.
Mm-hmm. I was about to say Pacific, and I'm like, no, that's not right.
That is not how time zones work.
6 p.m. Pacific.
Yeah, Richard, I believe, tweeted during the time, and thank you to LeShock for tweeting us about Simmons. And again, everybody who follows us on Twitter, tweets us on Twitter, we love you.
Yeah, we definitely love all our listeners. Thank you guys for listening. We do appreciate you listening. It makes this all worthwhile because we just like Marvel, and we know you do too, and we like interacting with you. So, until next week, I'm Agent Stargate Pioneer.
I'm Agent Haley.
I'm Agent Lauren.
And I'm apparently a guest with a lanyard, Keir.
Who gave him a lanyard?
I didn't.
Wasn't me.
It's just made out of paper.
We'll see you next week. Bye-bye now.
Bye.
Later.
I'll see.
Thank you for listening. If you want to leave us feedback, go to GonnaGeek.com and you will find all of our contact information and other shows. You can also visit legendsofshield.com where you'll find our complete archive of podcasts. The music heard on this podcast is by Kevin MacLeod and can be found at incompetech.com. The opinions heard on this podcast are those of the individual host and do not represent Legends, Stream, or GonnaGeek. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is the property of the Disney Corporation. No infringement is intended.
Oh, sweet. I did not see this.
What's that?
You've been hearing about the development from Lego Dimensions, right? And their whole, whatever. What do they call this line of games out now where you have to collect the figures in order to unlock? Is there a name for those?
Disney.
Yeah, besides that,
Disney something I can't remember. I know what you're talking about.
Well, no, he means like the type of toy.
Yeah,
that platform, because like Skylanders or whatever started at first. Then Disney said, "Oh, that's a brilliant idea. We're going to use all of our, our content." And then
no one has an idea that Disney doesn't make money off of.
Right. Well, Lego got into it too, so they've got a game platform out, Lego Dimensions, right? And there's all these packs that you can purchase into for characters and bits. Well, I guess they just landed Christopher Lloyd to do a commercial for them or a trailer for them or something.
Yeah.
As Doc Brown.
I heard about this. There was a story about this a few weeks back, and I can't remember who ran it, ATGN or somebody ran it.
Let's see whether this is... It can't just be Facebook. There has to be is there a YouTube edition of this? It can't just be on Facebook. This sucks.
Do you hear about the discrepancy with, spoiler, Peggy Carter's date of birth?
No.
No, I didn't.
Okay, so the date of birth on her SSR file is different from the one on the tombstone in the leaked pictures. Which means that she lied on her SSR forms because her date of birth on the SSR ones lists her as older than the one on her tombstone, like 2 years older.
Yeah.
She lied so she could get in the war.
Yeah.
She's just like Steve. Oh.
I know! It's
they
adorable.
will never, ever get together. You guys know that, right?
I know,
Ever.
and that's so sad, but I found this really great fanfic that's been just like Peggy Carter takes like a variant of the super soldier serum and gets like frozen and thawed out like, in modern day, and it's really great, so. Oh, also, SP, I would like to apologize for whatever editing black wizardry you had to do after my cats ran into the computer tower last week.
Huh, I don't think I got to that point yet.
Said wizardry has not yet been crafted.
Okay, well, I apologize for whatever you're going to have to do. My cats are dicks, but right now they're asleep.
I think I'm probably just going to leave it in there because that was a hilarious part of the cast.
I hope I didn't swear too much. I don't think I did.
I don't know. I haven't gotten there yet. We'll see.
Yeah, I don't know. My cats are dicks.
Mine too.
But they've been very sweet to me all afternoon. I got home and I was like, I need a nap, and I fell asleep on the couch, and the cats were on me when I woke up, and I was like, this is great.
Stolen body heat.
Yes. But that's okay because I'm always freezing and the cats are very warm. The opening scene of Witcher 3 has the most butt I've ever seen in a video game. This is what Scott told me. He's like, it being Witcher, it immediately starts with boobs.
With Keir Hansen.
Probably fake.
Tweet.
What, boobs?
No, Keir Hansen.
Oh.
Boobs, too.
I
His
thought
boobs
I was going to
totally
say,
fake.
like, it's a video game. Of course they're fake, being as they are, like, pixels.
Stop ruining my childhood.
Pixels?
Keir has fake boobs.
Only in pixels. They're kind of 8-bit. They're a little blocky.
Have you seen people cosplaying old-timey, like, original graphics Lara Croft?
Wow.
Is it just like 12 feet of boob?
Yeah. I did.
It's like perfectly, like, not conical, but pyramidal boobs.
I can't watch that first movie without being like, her boobs look so ridiculous.
They were CGI'd.
No, they weren't. They were padded.
Okay.
Yeah.
They were affected.
Yeah, that is not natural boobage.
I remember her doing an interview at a morning show, and I don't remember if it was the Today Show, the Good Morning America show or whatever, but she did an interview and she basically said, yeah, I wish that's what I had.
Yeah, they I think patted him up to a D or a double D or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, they wanted to go bigger.
But then they were like, it's going to look cartoonish. Speaking of which, I saw a woman with just full on torpedo boobs at Walgreens the other day. And I was like, wow, I'm kind of impressed. I would have back problems.